welcome to a godly home. So I am going to be making my famous triple berry pie today. This was requested by a dear friend of mine, and it is a lot of work, but well worth it. Believe me, I love this pie, and so does everybody else. Now, I have a short video on this that I did many years ago, but it's not getting the views that it should be getting. And I think it's because I didn't take the time to show myself cooking it. I just kind of did a quickie. So I'm very, very excited about this video. I hope you will follow along and cook with me. This pie is perfect for holidays. It is perfect for a present for somebody, for a birthday, Christmas, whatever. A just because thing to surprise somebody with this pie. It's great if you know you have a friend coming over for coffee or tea and you can serve them this pie. Okay, let's get going. I picked up a package of the fresh picked berry medley from Hannaford. This was almost $12 and you get 10 cups of berries. This will make, I think, about 2 pies with a little bit left. But if you go into Dollar Tree and you get those packs of triple berries in there, you're going to use 3 bags of those per pie. So even if you made 2 pies, that's $6, not almost $12. And they do make a delicious pie. I just was not getting to Dollar Tree, and I picked these up because I was into Hannaford and I needed them right away. All right, here we go. We are going to put 8 cups of berries into this pot. Now, because the bag holds 10 cups, instead of measuring out 8 cups, I'm just going to measure out 2 cups and set them aside for a minute. Okay, the rest are going right in here. Now I'll pour these 2 cups back into the bag. That's easier for me. Do it however you want to do it, as long as in the end you end up with 8 cups of berries in your kettle. Okay, to that we are going to add 1.5 cups of sugar. Okay, we're going to add 6 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, you guys know how the cornstarch comes in that box and it makes such a mess. And then if you buy it in the plastic container, you pay so much more for the name brand in the plastic container. It's insane. Now, you can either buy the name brand plastic container one time, save your container, and buy the store brand in the box and refill it. Or you can go into Dollar Tree and get one of these little containers, which is the same shape and size, for $1, and then always buy the store brand, which is what I did. Okay, so I'm having one of those days. I really need to get this done, but it's like, you know, I feel like I'm going all directions. I need to just slow down and concentrate one thing at a time. I have to remind myself that sometimes. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And then to that, we are going to add 6 tablespoons of water. Okay, and then we are going to add a teaspoon of lemon juice. If you do not have lemon juice, use lime juice. And you can make this with any berries you've got. This filling is delicious with blueberry, any of them, whatever you got. Okay, 2 teaspoons. That's about right. And 2 tablespoons of 4 tablespoons of real butter. If you do not have the real butter, guys, don't freak out or panic. Go ahead and use margarine. But this is just the way that I make it because it's something super special that I don't do all the time. And when I make it, I want it to be perfect. But we all are going to just use what we have and make do. All right. Now we're going to put this on a medium heat. And we are going to stir this nonstop. We will not leave this until this is thick and ready to go. If you walk away from this, you're going to have a burned on mess. Make sure before you even start this, you've done anything that has to be done because you're going to be here a while. My friend that I'm making this for, her son is the maniac scientist. If you want to check out his channel, he loves just even the filling of this so much. We make hobo pies on the campfire. Those little cookers where you put down regular store-bought sliced bread with butter, and then you put pie filling in the middle and you close them up and you cook them over the campfire. Well, he loves this filling so much that if we're going to do those pies over the campfire, I got to get this filling ready for him. And one time I wasn't having the campfire and he wasn't having the campfire, but my parents were. And Mom said, hey, don't bring the filling because I have some canned filling here and we just really need to get this used up. And it will save you time. And I can't remember what I was doing, but it was a hectic day. So we showed up with the maniac scientist. And he was so disappointed when he was handed that pre-made pie filling that I learned when I make this. Make a lot of this. If I'm not going to be making pies anytime soon, pop it in the freezer in a glass jar or a Tupperware container. Thaw it out throughout the summer whenever we want it. This would be great too as like a topping on homemade cheesecake, over ice cream. There's just so many things you can do even if you just want to make the filling. Even if you're like, I don't have time for all that. That filling took me forever. Don't worry about it. Just make the filling. You won't be disappointed. And if you want to see us make those hobo pies, leave a comment, and that could be an upcoming video either on my channel or my son's channel. If you have not checked out my son's channel, it is Codger's Workshop, Codgers Workshop. He has preaching on there if you want to check that out. He has mechanics videos, he has carpentry videos, he has tool reviews, all kinds of stuff like that, along with guitar playing, just casual little videos about his life. You may enjoy that if you're a guy. So keep that in mind. The Maniac Scientist channel, he does a lot of fun projects. So that is a really fun channel also. Now these bigger berries like this, once this starts to thaw out, I can take my wooden spoon and I can mash them up a little bit. And that's what I'll do because I don't want whole berries like this in the pie. I want it to be more broke out. Okay, checking in. This is where we're at. We still got a piece of butter that hasn't melted. The berries still aren't quite thawed out enough that I can chunk them up yet. I forgot to say that this is also good on top of homemade waffles, on top of homemade pancakes. Delicious. Okay, can you see that it's starting to thicken up here? And I'm still mashing these berries down. We want it chunky, just not quite as chunky as it would be. Okay. Right there. See what it looks like when it comes off the spoon? That's going to get thicker when it cools. That's done. We'll shut the heat off. Let this set here. I'll probably mash a few more of these berries down. And then we'll get on to making our crust. Okay, and we are back. If you are wondering what this plaid thing is in the background, it's our carpentry tools and things. Our house is still being worked on, and I have the tools out so we can readily get to them when we need to for the projects for the summer. So I have just thrown this tablecloth over them so we don't have to look at them. We actually eat supper on the living room table. So anyhow, that's the explanation for that, in case you see this in the videos and you're like, what is that? Oh, okay. So people get really wound up for some reason over pie crust, and they think they need to buy that pre-made kind, or they need to just buy the pie already made because the pie crust is too hard. But I think it's been maybe over dramatized by some people over the years, and it's made the younger generation scared of it. So let me show you how not precise this is. Okay, so I have in this bowl 4 cups of flour. I'm using unbleached. Use what you've got. And I have a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. Use any salt you have. and I'm mixing it in with a wooden spoon. Now, to that, I am going to add 1 1/3 cups of shortening. Now, you can buy your shortening like this, or you can buy it in a tub. If you use a lot of shortening, it's cheaper in the tub. I'm buying it like this because it has in it, right there, palm oil. And my husband is allergic, so I will be making him a separate pie using vegetable oil in the crust. And if you want to see how that's done, comment below and I can show that on here sometime. For today, I'm just going to show this because this is my classic crust that I've used for years before he developed this food allergy. Okay, 1 of these is a cup. And if you're using these, it shows you just like butter on the side, okay? So then it tells us 1/3 cup is 5 1/3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/3. Okay, we're going to pop that right in. Give me just a second to get rid of this trash. I do need a clean table for this. And I think a table is the best place to do this because I like more width than what a countertop has. And my table has been thoroughly scrubbed and sanitized right before I laid this stuff out. You want to make sure it is. All right, so I am going to take my fork. I don't like the pastry blenders. If you guys do, that's great. I find everything sticks to them. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let me see. Yes, you can. Okay, so I'm going to take my fork, and I'm just going to start mashing this in to this flour a little bit. This is called cutting in. Okay, once I get it reasonably stirred in, now I'm switching to my hands. My hands have been thoroughly washed. And I'm just going to do this until that is just tiny, tiny, tiny little particles where it just feels like it's all incorporated super, super good. I use this pie crust recipe for any type of pie that I'm going to be making. You don't need a separate crust recipe for pumpkin pie or whatever. Your crust recipe is your crust recipe. This will give you 4 crusts or 2 double crusts. See how this is getting so fine? And I can just crumble it and it's just falling right apart. I want to make sure there's no dry flour in here at all. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I got some cold water in this mug, and I'm going to pour just a little bit to start and take my fork and give it a stir and see where I'm at. I want it wetter than that. I'm going to pour a little bit more in. Stir it. Definitely need it wetter than that. Okay, can you see that? It's getting there. It's not quite wet enough because I have this dry at the bottom still. Closer. I still have dry at the bottom over on this side. Okay, that's good. I don't have any dry that won't mix in. Everything feels damp. When I squeeze it, it wants to go right together. It's about the consistency of Play-Doh, okay? Can you see that? All right, this makes 4 crusts, so I want to get it into one generalized ball here. Okay. Now, I'm going to divide that in half. Now I'm going to divide each one of those into half till I get 4 somewhat even balls. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour some flour right out on the table here. Spread that around. I'm going to take my ball, press it right on there. Okay, then I flip it once and press it again. Now I'm going to go ahead and start rolling this out. Okay. Can you guys see? Great, you can see. Okay, now I'm going to take out my dough and I'm going to lay it right in my plate. Okay, and I'm going to make sure it gets down to the bottom of the pan. If it's cracked a little bit right there, go ahead and just press it together a little bit. Okay, now I take my scissors and anything that's sticking out over the edge of the lip, I just go ahead and trim that right off. Okay, now I'm going to tuck each little section under and press it all the way around like so, because I want it just the height of the actual pie pan, not the lip. That little edge will give this pie a little bit of stability when you go to cut it, where you've kind of doubled that over a little bit. Gosh, when Jacob was younger, the kids used to request these all the time. I would be cranking these out like crazy all the time. Nobody's requested one for years at this point. Okay, setting that aside. Now I'm going to go and do the bottom crust of my next pie. Remember, this is the consistency of Play-Doh, so this is great. You can just form it how you need to. No big deal. If you are giving these for gifts, remember you can buy disposable pie plates with covers at Dollar Tree. Notice I'm not needing a special mat, special paper, anything. Just a flour table. Transfer it right over. And let me show you again. Pull it closer so you can see here what I'm doing. I'll get this one super close. Okay. All I'm doing is taking my hand and making sure that's pressed all the way down in. All right, now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim just to the top of that extra lip there. All right, now I'm going to fold this under just to the height of the pan all the way around. And if it's cracked a little bit, like right here, I'm just going to, with my finger, seal that shut. Okay, so that is what I'm left with, all right? I'm going to go ahead and put the filling in. You don't want this wicked full, but you want a good amount in there. If you spill a little filling, just wipe it right off. Okay, you see about how much I got in there? That's just about right. Okay, so it's rolled out for the top crust. Let me show you what I do. Both pies are filled. And I'm going to just go ahead, just like before, just lift that up and lay that right over the top of my crust. Over my pie, I mean. That is my crust, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off right along the edge of the pie plate with my scissors. I'm setting all of this dough aside to be used on a different project. All of the trimmings, I mean. Okay, now I'm going to just start folding and pinching. Okay, you see? And now I just go along with my thumb and I seal the edge. All right, can you see that good? Okay, that was so easy. No different than a child playing with Play-Doh. All right, now how I like to vent mine, I like to give it a lot of vent because I don't like them to boil over. So I start by making 4 good sized slits, like going like a cross in the top. And then off of each of those 4, I go ahead and make a little slit right in the middle. Then I'm going to follow each one of those lines with slits to the edge. Okay, so that right there is what it looks like before it goes into the oven. All right? That is how I like to slit it, and it gives lines even for cutting it after. So that's super fun. That one is going to go in. These will go into an oven at 375 degrees. And remember, your filling's already thickened and cooked. So you're just going to cook those until they're really brown on top. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, what I'm left with is a ball of scraps like so. What I'm going to do is I am going to put this into a ball. And I am going to roll this out as best as I can. This is dry after it's been scraps. That's why you're seeing it crack and stuff. So keep that in mind. Like if you're trying to roll your actual pie crust for your pie and it's cracking, it's because you did not get enough water in it. Okay, now we're going to spread this with butter and cinnamon and sugar. Okay, I've spread it with butter, sprinkled it with cinnamon and sugar, and now I'm going to go ahead and roll it up just as tight as I can. This is called a roly-poly. Okay. And now I'm going to slice it. We're going to place them on this little sheet. And sometimes they'll fall apart a little bit and you got to kind of reform them when you put them on the sheet. After all, this is scraps of pie dough here. Okay, like so. These are going to go right into the oven with the pie. Now I know what you're saying. Okay, this is great, grand, and wonderful, but look at the mess you have on the table. How are you ever going to get that clean? I'm going to take this plastic spatula and I'm going to start working this whole mess over towards the edge. It will scrape anything up off the table. Okay. I'm going to dump it right into my bowl. And then I'll dump that into the trash. And this goes much better when you're not on camera too, guys. You know how it is. I'm always at a weird angle when I'm on camera. Okay, once I get all of that into my bowl, I'm just going to take a really hot soapy dish rag and it will wipe right up. I'll show you after. Hey guys, the roly-polies are done. Basically what you want with these is no raw dough in the swirly part there. I dropped just a little bit of real butter right on each one while they were hot right out of the oven. And what you have here is almost like mini cinnamon rolls. This is fantastic. And by the way, take a look at my table. It's still damp, but you can see it's not dirty in any way. It washes right up with hot soapy water. First one is out and you can see around the edge how bad it wanted to boil over. But it did not boil over. I do the crust the way I do it because I have never had one boil over with the crust done like this. If the vents in the top are not enough, then it just seems to separate itself just a little bit at the side and let the air out rather than boiling over. So there it is. You can see how puffy and beautiful and light brown the crust is. The other pie was a little bit bigger. It's still finishing up. I might as well take some photos of this one.